I'm going to the audience with a question. Should we interview this guy? So let me set the context. We get about 25 guest pitches a day. Most of them are not guests that ever make it onto the show. And a lot of the guest pitches we get are candidates for something or other. We have to determine which are the legitimate candidates and which are not the legitimate candidates. And we also have to determine would the audience be interested in hearing from this person or not. Yesterday, I got an email from Scott Noren from Ithaca, New York. The email said, I'm considering a run for U.S. Senate, would like to interview on your show. Email me. I looked him up. He's running against Chuck Schumer, or is going to be running in the primary against Chuck Schumer. I said, hey, Scott, thanks for the email. We're not doing any pre-primary interviews right now for Senate and House races. We get a lot of these requests, and due to the national nature of our program, except in very specific cases, we've learned that pre-primary interviews tend to not garner a lot of interest from our audience. Let's keep in touch as the race continues. Scott got very angry with me. And he wrote back and he said, that is blatantly not true. Did you poll to get to that factoid? By the time a primary happens, the party has already picked its candidate, and a challenger like me, who is non-corporate, non-lobby money funded, can't afford TV and radio statewide to get our name out there. The very specific cases, in most cases, are Democrats challenging Republicans. The Democrats like me who try to challenge corporate Democrats are doomed because you guys have total control over the media and who does or doesn't get covered. So I wrote back and I said, listen, your allegation that we're part of the you guys who are in control of the media is absurd and offensive. We are completely independent. We are not controlled by any of those conglomerates or big corporations. But what I'm going to do is bring this to my audience. If my audience says we want to hear from Scott Noren and his campaign against Chuck Schumer, then we will interview you, assuming we haven't even looked into this far, that he is actually a candidate on the primary ballot. We also get lots of emails, Lewis, from people who aren't even on a ballot and they just want to be interviewed. And we say, well, what states are you on? Presidential candidates. And I say, are you even on enough ballots where you could win or not? And often they're not. It's not a real candidate. So I open it to the audience. If you want us to interview Scott Noren about his primary challenge of Chuck Schumer, if that's interesting to you before he even has the primary, then let me know and we will interview him. However, if you agree with my instinct, which is when we do these types of interviews, when we've done them in the past, people don't really care very much. They get very few views. We get no emails about them, very few Facebook comments, very few YouTube comments. Then I will stick with my thought that this is not an interview we want to pursue right now. Is this fair, Lewis?
I think this is fair. And, I think an interview about this whole exchange and his thoughts on the process might be more interesting than an interview where he just pitches himself.
But let me be clear. We're only talking about an interview to hear about his candidacy. That's what he's interested in. And we'll open it to the audience. You tell me. Like that video? Please subscribe. Click the button below. Didn't like that video? Please subscribe. Click the button below.